Hello, everyone. My name is Lamiaa from Sanaa Tech. Sanaa Tech is the parent company of Fab Lab Egypt, Maker Fair Cairo, and many other programs and products. I'm really glad to be here with you today in the first Fab Educator Summit of the year, accompanied by my dear colleague and friend Ahmed Ibrahim. And together, we are going to share with you our experience in establishing Makerspace programs in governmental schools in Egypt. Let me first give you a little bit of background about Egypt. Egypt is located in Africa, in the north to be specific. Our population is around 100 million people. We are very famous for our ancient pyramids and historical monuments and temples. And for football fans everywhere, Egypt is the origin country of Mohamed Salah, or Mo Salah for short, the professional football player in Liverpool club and the captain of the national Egyptian team. Like many other countries of the global south, Egypt faces lots of challenges in its public education system. To put things into perspective, around 90% of students in pre-college stages attend government schools. Yet the infrastructure of the public education system is far from perfect. Teachers who are the main pillars of the system are underpaid, so most of them live off private tutoring, and they generally lack the necessary skills to create an active learning experience for their students. Students mostly regurgitate facts and memorize information for the purpose of passing the exams. In the past few years, there has been a big wave of reforms led by the Egyptian Ministry of Education, most of which was centered around integrating technology into the classroom by providing each student with a personal tablet, which served the purpose of consuming content rather than learning through making with technology. On the other hand, the concept of STEM and maker education is not new to the Egyptian context. Actually, there are 14 official STEM schools around Egypt. Each is equipped with a Fab Lab. However, these schools are very selective and only gifted students can attend them. There are also many private and international schools in Egypt which adopt the approaches of project-based learning and maker education, and the teachers there are well-trained and qualified for that purpose. Yet these schools are limited to students from upper social classes. That is why at Sanaa Tech we are taking the initiative to develop and implement a new program that mainly targets public schools in Egypt. We call it Maker Classroom, and the program is supported with a fund from Orange Foundation. Maker Classroom aims to democratize the access to tools and knowledge of maker education to public schools, empower teachers, and most importantly, it provides clear examples and cases of how to integrate maker tools and technologies with regular school subjects. Maker Classroom provides public schools with three main components. It provides the very basic infrastructure for a makerspace, a rich library of lessons and activities that integrates different maker tools in a project-based or problem-based challenges, as we are going to see very shortly. And most importantly, teacher training on how to use the tools and resources to create projects. And with these three components combined, the teacher will be able to establish a school maker club that would serve as a hub for making, tinkering, and creating within the school. I would now leave the floor to Ahmed Ibrahim to take you through these three components in more detail. Please, Ahmed, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Lamiaa. As Lamiaa said, Maker Classroom is trying to democratize access to the tools and knowledge in public schools. And one of the essential tools is a Makerspace. Maker Classroom is establishing a mini-school Makerspace inside the selected public schools. Each school is provided with three types of resources: digital fabrication machines like a 3D printer and a vinyl cutter machine, also the ability to access the laser cutter machine in the nearest Fab Lab node. Educational kits, which contains all the essential electronic components such as sensors, motors, and development boards like Arduinos and Makey boards. And to overcome the program budget challenge, we have developed a DIY robotic kit that was custom designed and fabricated for the purpose of the program. Also, we are providing hand tools, materials, consumables, like 3D printer filaments, sewing strings, and many more. Getting access to a set of machines and tools without an educational content that guides you to get the most out of these resources is not enough. So we have developed educational content that guides students and teachers to explore the world of making things. In this educational content, we are adopting and implementing maker education and STEM learning approaches, where students learn how to use different maker tools in the context of solving a real-world problem or a challenge. For the purpose, we developed 4 units of content. Each unit contains a rich library of resources that were designed and developed specifically for that program. These units cover 4 different sets of skills like design and digital fabrication, game development, electronic circuits, e-textiles, and robotics. Let me take you on a quick journey to the educational units that we have developed for the Maker Classroom program. In the first unit, we are trying to solve the problem of kids and young people are becoming less physically active. So we are building a computer game that could be controlled with body movement. In this context, we are learning new concepts, skills, and tools to build that game like Scratch programming and basic electronics and many more. In the second unit, we want to teach young people more about our Egyptian history in a not boring way. So we are building an ancient Egypt diorama. In this context, we are learning a CAD tool like Tinkercad to design monuments, artifacts, and landmarks from ancient Egypt. And we fabricate them with different digital fabrication machines like 3D printers and vinyl cutter machines. In the third unit, we want to raise awareness of kids and young people about climate change through storytelling. So we are creating an engaging e-puppet show for the kids to talk about this problem in a light way. In this context, we are learning about basic electronics, sewing, and how to merge this to create an engaging e-puppet show. In the fourth unit, robots are becoming smarter and more clever every day. We want to contribute in developing smarter robots. So we are building robots that can play and compete with each other in a new game sport. In this context, we are learning how to mechanically build robots and how to write a logical and smart piece of code. Through this journey, we are dealing with Arduino boards, the M-block environment, and diving more deeply into electronics world. And to make teachers and students' life easier, we created a web portal that hosts all the educational resources I mentioned before, like activity guides, tutorial videos, and machine operation manuals, and so on. For this pilot of the project, we have selected 3 schools in 3 different cities around Egypt: Cairo, Mansoura, and Aswan, to implement the program. So, to make the teachers ready to deliver this educational content to their students, we have developed a teacher training that is project-based, adopting the learning by doing techniques. But there is a challenge here. Teachers are living in different governments that are very far away from each other. So it would be very difficult to gather all of them together in one place and conduct a face-to-face training. To overcome this challenge, we designed the training to be hybrid and decentralized. Each teacher is attending the online and offline sessions from the city she lives in. The offline sessions took place at the nearest Fab Lab to the teacher, in Fab Lab Aswan, Fab Lab Mansoura, and Fab Lab Egypt, which is located in Cairo. Online and offline sessions are all conducted at the same time at each node, facilitated by a lead trainer, facilitator, and a Fab Lab specialist. Teachers' training is divided into 3 parts. The first part took place during the previous summer vacation. In this training, we went through the first 2 units of the educational content. We learned how to design for 3D printing and 2D cutting using Tinkercad. We learned how to operate different digital fabrication machines like the 3D printer, vinyl cutter, and the laser cutter machine. Also, we learned how to build a computer interactive games using Scratch programming and Make board. Each 2 teachers worked collaboratively on weekly projects and assignments, documented their work on an online teacher site, so they can share what they have learned together. The second part will take place within a few days, so we will go through the second 2 units covering the basics of electronics, creative styles, and robotics following the same learn by doing approach. The third part will be an on-site orientation will be conducted to the teachers by the Fab Lab node team in their government. Fab Lab Aswan, Fab Lab Mansoura, and Fab Lab Egypt. Lastly, Lamiaa will talk to us about some of the challenges that we have faced during the development and implementation phases and what are the next steps. Thank you, and Lamiaa, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Ahmed. There is no doubt that taking such an initiative is not without challenges. Starting with having to deal with the bureaucracy within the Ministry of Education and having to convince them to grant us the approval to implement the program within governmental schools. Yet we see it as an opportunity to educate the system about the benefits of such an initiative. Also, we had the challenge of cost, either the cost of tools to establish the makerspace or the cost of training for the teachers, but we had to be creative in order to overcome the challenge of cost. For example, we made our own DIY robotics kit instead of purchasing one of the commercially available ones. The same with the training, we devised a hybrid and decentralized approach for training across Egypt. The next stage of our implementation plan is to keep supporting the teachers while they run their school makerspaces, and we will monitor and evaluate the effectiveness of our design, which would help us improve and scale up the program to reach more public schools around Egypt. Thank you so much for your time and attention. We would love to answer your questions if you have any. Thank you so much.
Okay, everyone, don't be shy. We have several minutes here before
I'm sorry, I have a question.
Okay, Rodney?
This is Rodney. So in terms of the teachers, when they did the PD with your workshops, was there any apprehension? Were they overwhelmed by the, seeing the tools? A lot of educators that I work with, when they see the Fab tools, they become overwhelmed because they think they're these great vast machines, but how do they interact with the machines? I guess that's my question.
Okay, so it's different from one teacher to another.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the teachers who have a previous experience with Fab Lab tools and machines, not necessarily have used them in a project, but they have heard about them and they are aware of their operation and the kinds of projects that they can achieve using them. They are less overwhelmed than other teachers who are really new to this. For example, we had this teacher who is mainly an arts and crafts teacher, and she was the most one who was overwhelmed about all these tools and all this new knowledge. However, we tried to create a safe environment for her in order to be able to digest all this new information and all these new tools. And we were successful in doing this, and she is returning back for the second part of the training. So to conclude, we are trying to create a safe environment for such teachers. We are taking them at a slower pace, if I may say,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually they come around.
That's fantastic. I'm sorry, one more question. So do the teachers that kind of knew the tools, did they help the other teachers? Was there like a peer-to-peer interaction?
Yeah, actually, this is a very good question, because ideally, if we had all the teachers in one place, it would be really important to do such pairing. However, we selected 2 teachers per node or 2 teachers per city. These 2 teachers are working together in the same school, actually, but generally they are coming from different backgrounds. So they somehow complement each other's skills. So, for example, the teacher that I was mentioning earlier, she is an arts and crafts teacher, while the other one, the second teacher, she is a biology teacher who had like a previous experience with programming and robotics and such skills. So when they sit together in the training, actually they assist each other, and we expect in the next part of the training, the arts and crafts teacher would actually assist the biology teacher, since the skills that we are going to address are more into her comfort zone this time.
That's fantastic.
Thank you so much. Any other questions?
We have about 3 minutes until we'll shift to our second speaker. Feel free to please ask questions.
I have another one. I'm sorry.
Yeah, of course.
Was it challenging for the teachers to like implement or their core subjects and align them with the Fab tools? Did they have ideas for that? Like, if you're a math teacher or you teach history, do you understand how the tool can connect with that?
Okay, so our ultimate goal is to guide the teacher into the process of integrating the tools into their subjects. Eventually, at the end, we are going to focus on this target, but for now, our target is to educate the teacher about the tools themselves and giving them solid examples of how can these tools can integrate together and with regular subjects or topics from the curriculum. For example, we have this unit about ancient Egyptian history. So how they can, for example, integrate the 3D printer and the vinyl cutter into a history class, or how to integrate programming and electronics into a biology class. So we are trying to deliver this message or transfer this message through modeling. We created all these units and this learning experience to model for them how can they eventually integrate the tools into their subjects.
Awesome. Thank you. I don't have any more questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Anyone else? I just want to say thanks. Being someone who's taken Fab Labs into public schools here in my country, many similarities to what you all have been through. It's nice to know that challenge is somewhat universal. Some of the same things, and we can all learn from each other, even though we're so far apart. So thank you for sharing. I've benefited greatly from this.
Thank you so much.